Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1. Still on the subject of our suburban home, but now we're going to be talking about worst case event, total raw, SHTF, whatever you want to call it. I call it Mad Max. You have to do whatever is necessary to protect yourself, your loved ones, and try to help as many people in the community. At this point, people in your community might be so scared, they might look to you. If you're a leader, they're going to say, hey, what do we do? So security is a big thing. Yes, having water and food is important, but security. Sometimes it might be more important to maybe help them survive, providing them a little bit of food, a little bit of water in exchange for more manpower, more bodies, more people that can help defend your community. So you have to weigh that. Is it going to be worth me giving up some food and water in exchange for more security? It might be important that you take in certain key people that you know you can trust. They weren't preppers, but they might have skill sets that you need, maybe a dentist, maybe a doctor. So now is the time to store extra food. It's so cheap. Rice, beans, oatmeal, very cheap. Solve your water problem now with a good rain catchment system, good storage system. That way you can enhance your security in a worst case. So we're going to be talking worst case. We're going to be talking some of these people have moved out of the neighborhood. Some of these people might have already died because of lack of insulin or lack of other medication. So we're going to be dealing with not everyone in this community is here. What are we going to do? This is turned into worst case. There is no coming back from this at all. All right. Some people said, you know, they're going to use your tree stands. That has a place, but I don't like tree stands because you got to get up and down and it can expose you. Also, if you think about elevated positions, be it Afghanistan or Iraq, they were towers that were built to withstand RPG rounds. They were made to withstand it, and it was, you couldn't hide that position because it was protecting a fob or some type of insulation. So they were made to be elevated, and they were made to be reinforced from gunfire. A tree stand is not. So if you could use something else, I don't want to be up in a tree stand personally. I'd rather be maybe up in an attic. These houses have attic spaces. So maybe you can, in the side, cut a couple holes in there, and you could definitely use that compared to a tree stand. Also, you might need to reinforce it. If you start throwing some sandbags up there, if you're building a house now and you have some gable ends, put some extra support going across that ceiling so it can withstand a little bit of weight, be it sandbags, be it some concrete blocks. Cheaper to do it now. So we need to get some elevation. It could also be for a firing port, or it could be for basically an observation post, especially if you have people that are maybe not able to move quickly, younger people, but they have the ability to watch, the ability to use binos. Instead of putting them out there where they might have to retreat quickly back to the safety, you're already putting them in the perimeter, so you're using them. They've got a set of binos, and they're able to observe and report what they're seeing. All right, we need to expand our perimeter. If we can expand that perimeter out farther, yes, we have more territory to cover, but we also have a reactionary time, because if our expanded perimeters here, maybe we can move these LPOPs over higher up. So we have more time to react, and that's what it is. We need time to react. We need the time to come up with a plan, evaluate the enemy, and figure out what we're going to do. Also, expanding that perimeter is helpful because then we can start closing down high-speed avenues of approach. Anywhere where there's a vehicle can go from point A to point B, and point B is on your perimeter very quickly. We need to solve that problem because if we don't, we have no reaction time. They can quickly, at 40, 50 miles an hour, come into our area, and then what are we going to do? So we need more time, and we're going to expand that perimeter. High avenues of approach. In the military, we're always thinking high-speed avenues of approach and anti-armor. We don't want armored vehicle quickly coming into our thing, so how are we going to deal with armored vehicles? As a prepper, there's not much we can do about that except deny him that high speed to give us more time to react. Let's hypothetically say we have some culverts here because, you know, rain, and the rainwater goes underneath the road and maybe go to a small creek. we're going to go, and that culvert has asphalt over top of it. So it's hard to dig up a culvert unless you have heavy equipment. The easiest way to do that is you're going to purposely fill your culvert in. You're going to make a dam inside that culvert because you want the water. This doesn't, you can't do it and then expect the results tomorrow unless it starts pouring rain tomorrow. But this is a way to do a little bit of work and then let Mother Nature help you. What we're trying to do is damage that culvert so the road caves in. If you ever see the pictures of the floods that happened in North Carolina a few weeks ago, major problems. The overflowed the culverts and it destroyed the roads. That's what we're trying to do. Let Mother Nature reign and slowly start eroding. Now, typically in this where I live, the culverts out in the country, even in the suburbs, they put rock around the sides of the culvert to protect erosion. Take those rocks out. You can use those rocks for many purposes. You can use them, take them back with you, use them in your defensive bunker positions, or you can actually take those big rocks and throw them out in the road. And what you're doing is denying them a high-speed avenue of approach. They're going to have to slow down. Even with a four-wheel drive vehicle, you don't want to hit a basketball-sized rock. So you can use it to slow things down. Remove those rocks and that will encourage erosion. If you want to, maybe spend an hour or so digging at the side of the culvert so when the water comes, it can't go through the culvert because you've thrown everything in there. It will then start working around. What we're trying to do is erode underneath the asphalt so we can easily damage it. Our purpose here, yes, anybody can jump over it or walk through it or walk around it. We're trying to deny high-speed avenues of approach so a vehicle cannot keep going quickly. And on most vehicles, you can seriously damage around the culvert and make it impassable for most civilian vehicles. All right, next, dropping trees. Quick things, you can drop trees to deny them. Quick avenues of approach. Also, those trees being dropped. Now remember, they can go up by on foot. So you have to still watch your area, but it's going to stop them if they're going to bring in vehicles. All right, best thing, don't overlook electrical poles, telephone poles. They're awesome for the defense. If you're building a defense, cut those telephone poles down. Yes, that's a destruction of property that you don't own. This is raw, so don't say, oh, you can't morally do that. If we don't have electricity and we don't think electricity is going to be back for a while, like permanently, telephone poles, awesome for working in the defense. Remember, all the electrical cable above it is the actual cable. Some of it's aluminum. It's still very strong. That cable is going to be very important to your defense because think of this. If I had cable, I could run cable around my perimeter. It might only be one cable, then you add a second cable, a third cable, and you will eventually keep adding stuff to get a better perimeter. That's what we want. Those cables, you can take those cables and wind them back and forth between trees or find a place where there's guardrails on both sides of the road. If you got any cable clamps, don't go out and buy cable clamps, but keep your eyes open for garage sales, for auctions. I put a couple hundred back because I got them for free. And you can take those cable clamps with the electrical lines and you could just back and forth and back and forth. You're denying high-speed avenues of approach for vehicles. Next, curbing. You might have curbing in your thing and they put it down with a curbing machine. And it's concrete and they put it in a form and they form it. A lot of the curbing I have seen has no rebar in it. So you could go in your neighborhood if you need barrier material and start with a sledgehammer. You see parking lots sometimes where people run into the curbing and it starts breaking it up. You could take a sledgehammer and bang, bang, bang and get chunks. Make them as big as you can so you can lift it. If you got a small little tractor in your community, you're so much. But chunks of curbing can be used, bullet stopping material. It can be used to take it and throw a bunch of curbing. With nothing but curbing, you could destroy a bunch of curbing, 100 feet, 100 yards long, whatever it takes, and you could definitely make something that will stop a vehicle. Next, you might have in your suburban area, there might be a few stores here and there. They'll have curbing you can smash up. They'll also have The parking lot stops. A lot of parking lots have the concrete stops that they put so your vehicle can't move forward. Those have rebar in it. They're preformed and cast, and then they're brought on site and sometimes pegged down, but you can get them off if you're motivated. And then you have a big piece of concrete. It's going to take a few guys to get that in, or a little tractor, but you can wrestle that up onto a trailer, move it to where you want it, and it's a good flat. Usually it's flat on the bottom and flat on the top. You can use those to build a bunker in the defense. Next, car windows. You might have a bunch of abandoned cars. If you can, pop the window out without breaking it. If you break the window, it's safety glass, it shatters into a million pieces. But they say that people will not walk on broken glass 99% of the time. They'll walk around it. So if you have a bunch of broken glass, you could put it in the road. Discourage people. You're also going to create, walking on broken glass makes a lot of noise. So at nighttime, that additional noise, you might be able to get another 100 yards of hearing out of them walking on broken glass. Also, if you have anybody in here that has the non-safety glass, that has the plate glass, when that breaks, it breaks into weird shapes, triangle shapes. It's very sharp. It's dangerous, actually. So you can take that, take one end of it, if it's in all these weird shapes, push it into the ground. Anywhere you think the bad guy is going to run up, try to seek cover to shoot into your community, put those things sticking up. This is worst case. Let me repeat, worst case event. Do not try this at home. Do not try this ever, unless it is SHTF raw Mad Max. This is very dangerous to do. Let me preface it again. Do not do this at the house. Also, you might have neighbors that aren't here. They got patios. My parents had a nice patio put in. It was blocks, beautiful blocks, and a patio next to the pool. You can take that up, strip it up, and you have building materials for bunkers. Anything landscaping. People do landscaping rocks around their house. They take that up. Get whatever you can. This is Mad Max. Also, let's expand that perimeter. If you got houses in the community, at this point, I would want to expand down to here, and I'm going to use the corner of this building here, and I'm not going to use the windows. I'm going to make my own firing ports right here in the corner so I can absorb more. You can cut, break, whatever you need to do. Take out sections of the wall, slits, so I can shoot out of them. I'm not going to use the windows. Windows are bullet magnets. People shoot. If they know there's fire coming from a house and you're shooting from a house, they're going to shoot at the windows. That makes common sense. Don't use the windows, in the corner. And the purpose of this is, now look, this guy's sector can expand. All this he can shoot at. Same here. What you can do is, you got a sandbag. Say you don't have sandbags. You can use those bricks that you took up here. You can use concrete curbing, and you want to build a bunker. Give that person protection. Also, you might not have a lot of that material, but you have all these extra houses have sheets on the bed. They got blankets. Take the sheet, cut it in a section, throw dirt in it, pull all the corners up.